Give you a tour
right,
here
Dave,
of this
I'm
lake.
taking over missing 411. You got a bounce.
So,
Holy crap. Over 13,000 subscribers. Coming up the 3-year anniversary of debunking on this channel this month. 3 years. A lot of you guys have been here the whole time. Have some new guys, and I appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate all you guys do. Everybody listen to my voice, thank you very much. Now, I'm starting a Shape Must Fund, and you guys know I feel weird about promoting myself. I always have. But a lot of you comment, hey dude, promote yourself. So, people have asked how they can help. And what I'm going to do is, between now and Christmas, I'm going to start a Shape Must Fund. And whatever donations come, I'm going to shout you out in a video. And unless you choose to be anonymous. But you have to go to my PayPal. That's the only way it can be done. And I'll shout you out, and if the donation is big enough, I'll do a video and let you be sole producer of this video and whoever you want in the video. And all of it goes to, well, this channel, of course. Feels weird doing this, but you guys rock, and I can't thank you enough. I appreciate all you guys do. Anyway, enough of the babbling. Let's get into the video. This is a good one. You guys know I like David Paulides. I'm a fan of what he does, but I don't always agree with him. And in this particular case, I don't agree with him at all on pretty much everything that he says about it. He makes out like it's strange, and for the life of me, I absolutely cannot spot this strangeness that he's talking about. So let's get into the video, and let's have some fun.
we're on the road again, and we're in Hayden Lake, Idaho.
Now this isn't the kid's house, but look at the safety rails aren't sufficient, and then you look, there's no barriers to the sea, and then also you look at nighttime, all these trees can conceal a 2-year-old walking around.
And this is one of the locations I wanted to do a video about because it's a troubling incident. Happened in November of 1984, and a 2-year-old boy named Ryan Hofliger.
1984, what a good year. I was 3 years old. Comment below how old you were in 1984.
So on November 10th, Ryan and his parents and his sister and his dog lived about 1.25 miles from where I'm standing on the docks at the beach. Ryan's crib broke that night, and he was forced to sleep with his sister, and his sister was going to sleep between him and the floor. So Ryan was up against the wall.
Now before we get into this, talking about the parents first off, I don't want to sound like the parents didn't love this kid. I don't want to sound like that at all. But parents make bad decisions. All parents do. We're not perfect. Now I want to say this real quick. Now, this has nothing to do with what the case we're talking about now, but I want you to just take this into consideration. Now, say you take your kid hiking, or anybody takes their kid hiking in the woods. Your kid wanders off trail while you're doing something. You're busy doing something. And he disappears. Now, you got a problem. And you love your kid. Now, say the search crew comes. You ain't found your kid. And the cops, you know you're going to be questioned by the cops. And the cops say, well, how long did you take your eyes off your child? Most parents might be honest. Some be like, oh, 5 seconds. I took my eyes off of him 5 seconds. And I turned back around, he was gone. 5 seconds. Or 2 minutes, when really it could have been 30 or 45 minutes. You see what I'm saying here? And believe it or not, that makes a big difference. Not all parents do that, but some you would think would do that. So under all that stress, and you want to seem like a good parent, you are a good parent, and you definitely don't want to admit you made a mistake. Oh, maybe I took my eyes off of them longer than I should have.
Everybody went to bed. At 5 o'clock in the morning, the sister wakes up and uses the restroom. Notices Ryan still in bed. Comes back from the restroom, gets in bed, goes back to sleep.
See, I find that strange too. She got up to go to the bathroom. Now keep in mind, she don't know her brother's going to go missing. But she just so happened to look to see, oh, yep, he's still there, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not like she got up and was just sleeping and said, I gotta use the bathroom. Staggered through there like most of us do. Then staggered back. No, definitely seen him laying there, which she may have. But, I mean, you gotta ask questions. And why would the child be in her bed and not where the parents are? Now, granted, the parents wouldn't think anything was going to happen. But you're putting a 2-year-old in a bed that they could easily get out of. And if you were worried that much, you see, there's multiple ways to look at it.
Now, the family had a dog, a big dog, that barked a lot. Anytime anyone got up, made some noise, knocked on the front door, opened the door, dog barked. So at just about 7 o'clock in the morning, the sister wakes back up and Ryan's gone. Now remember, Ryan had to get over her to get out. And she never felt anything and she didn't wake up.
Now see, Dave Paulides has already mentioned 2 things that are speculation at best. That's it. He brings up a dog that always barks. Always barks. Doesn't mean it barked that time. First off. And a sister that should have woke up when this little boy crawled across her body. Who's to say he crawled across her body? Could have just jumped over the footboard. And who's to guarantee this child would have woke up? She could have been in a deep sleep. But he finds it strange. I just can't see it.
She goes into her mom's room, looks around for Ryan, can't find him. So they wake up the family, look through the backyard, look through the house, aren't finding anything, call the police. And at the time, the sheriff in the county responded. Right now, Hayden Lake has their own police department. Well, the sheriff gets there and they start doing a massive search.
It's always good to get a massive search as soon as possible. I'm always for that. But I want you to listen to David Paulides' retell. And he tries to drill into you, saying this is strange, that is strange. And I want you to really ask yourself, is it though?
They asked the family about the dog because they noticed it. And they said, hey, if anybody would have come in this house, anybody would have opened the doors, dog would have barked its head off.
That is simply not true. Yeah, the dog may have normally barked when anybody come through the house. It doesn't mean it will every time, just because somebody says it would.
Dog never barked. Then they also said, well, do you usually leave your doors locked? Family said, well, yeah, but this time the lock on the front door wasn't functioning right, so we left it unlocked.
I'm sorry, say what? Yeah, you heard that correctly. Well, we couldn't lock the door just because it's messed up. Now, I'm starting to see like a pattern here of bad choices. That's what I'm seeing. Also, by the end of this video, I want you to add up all the bad patterns, all the bad choices.
And the policeman asked the people, the mom and dad, if Ryan could open the door. They said no. So now you got a conundrum going on. Ryan can't open the front door. Dog would have barked. Ryan has no shoes on, and it's freezing cold. It's like 25 degrees outside.
He says you got 3 conundrums there. Just because you don't think the child can open the door doesn't mean he can't. It's that simple. Just because you think the dog won't bark doesn't mean it won't. It's that simple. A kid running around barefooted in cold weather, let me tell you something. When I was a kid, I ran around barefooted on gravel roads, poking through my skin. I didn't care. So, I seeing what the strangeness is. I just don't see it.
So now they start to bring troops in. I mean, literally hundreds of people start to search. And from where I am right now, it's 1.25 miles to where the Hoflagers lived. And it was on a street, very nice street, but in a fairly rural location almost 40 years ago, approaching 40 years. So the policemen start searching everywhere. So behind me, there's a series of lake houses. And to get to these lake houses, it's a long driveway off of the main road that leads to these, and then their backyards go out to these floating piers. Well, a policeman at 3:30 that afternoon is walking along in the pier, sees a little body, pulls it out. It's Ryan. He's deceased.
Okay, let's kind of have a layout. There's houses in the middle. There's a lake on one side in the backyard of all the houses. And on the other side, there's a long driveway that goes all the way down by the houses. Keep that in your brain.
Now, he notices that Ryan's wearing a diaper, and he's wearing a pajama top, but no pajama bottoms and no shoes. So the family says that they didn't think that the diaper was the same diaper that they put Ryan to bed with, but many of the articles say they weren't sure. So we're not sure about that.
There's another weird thing about it. Let's talk about the mistakes that, in my opinion, these parents have made so far. They didn't fix a broken door that was left unlocked. They let a 2-year-old sleep in a different room instead of sleeping with them. And now they're not sure if it's the same diaper. Huh? It's not like there's probably not that many brands of diapers, but they're not sure. It could be a different diaper, but they're not sure. Is that not weird?
So he goes to autopsy, and they found that he drowned. Now, from the minute Ryan was found, the police, the detectives all said something isn't right about this.
Okay, so he drowned. That means he was breathing when he hit the water. First off, and he keeps saying they said this, police said it was strange, the parents said this. It doesn't matter what people say. It's the proof and it's what really happened that matters. People can say whatever they want.
Nobody believed that Ryan would leave between 5 in the morning and 6:45 in the morning, go out into the cold and walk, or could he walk, 1.25 miles down to this lake and then enter the water when it's freezing cold. None of that makes any sense.
To say a 2-year-old can't do all that, you would be wrong. To say a 2-year-old can't walk 1.5 miles. First off. And to say that they wouldn't get in cold water, you may be right, you may be wrong. But sometimes when you get in the water, you don't get in there on purpose. Sometimes you fall in, especially if you're a child. And being as he was right next to a pier that comes out on the water, he could have walked on the pier and lost balance and went in. Because the coroner said he drowned, so that means he was breathing when he hit the water.
Well, it also doesn't make sense that he could have gotten out of that bed without waking his sister up. It also doesn't make sense that he could have, or anyone could have entered that house or left that house without the dog barking. So what happened?
Also, what don't make sense is your speculation to say a child can't sneak out of bed and not wake somebody up that's in a deep sleep. You're just speculating. You're saying it don't make sense, but it does make sense.
Off and on for the last 36 years, 37 years, This case has gotten cold case attention and detectives have looked at it. One of the theories is that somebody who knew the family really well entered the home, knew the layout, and took Ryan and killed him. Except one big problem. There were no injuries to the body at all.
I don't necessarily agree with that either. I don't think anybody snuck in. But if the dogs didn't bark, that could, not saying it is, but could look bad for the parents. I'm just saying.
And the coroner ruled he drowned. So if you look at this case from an isolated location like Hayden Lake, it kind of says, well, maybe there's a burglar killer on the loose here in this area. But if you look at it from the perspective of missing 411, a sobering coincidence, including the fact that Ryan was from German ancestry, takes on a different perspective to me.
Yes, you heard him correctly, what he just said right there. It's strange because of his German ancestry. Man, I better send out and get my blood type checked.
Could somebody have grabbed him and killed him? Possibly, but then you have to think about the motive. Most of the time when motives are centered around a boy that young, it's something really bad. Child molestation, something horrible. But that didn't happen. He drowned.
Motive. Now, even though there's not always a motive. There's not always like, well, I got to do this to the body, I got to do that to the body. For some people, simply picking up the kid and throwing him out in the middle of a lake and watching him go under, that's satisfying. Yes, there's people out there like that. That's all the gratification they need. And if, I'm not saying this is true, but if a parent wanted their child gone, take him out there, throw him in the water. Done. Well, he accidentally drowned.
How did Ryan end up here under a dock? You still have to ask yourself that question. And in the morning hours, when people are out jogging, even when it's really cold, people jog, and they have some homes here where people live, to come down and dump the body in the lake, hoping you're not going to be seen, is a big, big wish.
What he's saying is, after 5 o'clock in the morning, that everybody's up and at 'em, everybody's out jogging and everything else. That's not necessarily true either. That's just speculation. Everybody could be oversleeping. People could be in bed. First off, and when you said they could have dumped the body there in the lake and sneaked down there and dumped the body in the lake, no. If he drowned, that means he was alive when he hit the water. So you're not dumping a body, you're dumping a living person.
Because what can happen? You can be seen. Because this area around me right now, and you're going to see in a second, so the reason we're fluctuating all around right here is we're on a floating dock. A boat just came in. Give you a tour here of this lake. So I'm trying to give you the best perspective of what happened. So if you kidnapped Ryan and you took him, you could drive just a couple miles and dump the body in the woods and nobody'd ever see him. Now, if you were going to kill him, you'd have to strangle him, suffocate him, do some other harm to him, but none of that happened.
I'm sorry, could you please repeat that, Dave?
Now, if you were going to kill him, you'd have to strangle him, suffocate him, do some other harm to him, but none of that happened.
What you're saying is you had to strangle him to kill him. You mean to tell me, Dave, that they couldn't have picked the child up and just held him underwater without injuring his body, or threw him in the water? Oh no, he has to be dead before he hits the water. You're saying you can't drown a person. That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
I'm not saying that the sheriff is wrong about his assumption, because it's possible what he said occurred. But again, you got to look at the motive and the reason. And I can't find one right now. The family said that they didn't have anybody who didn't like them or anyone who would want to do them harm.
There he goes with speculation. The family said, the cops said. Just because they say it don't make it so. That's just the way it is. And you keep talking motive. In my opinion, I think this was an accident. I think the parents were neglectful, and I think it was just an accident. Just bad choices. And the kid snuck out, went down to the dock, fell in. That's what I think. But that's just my opinion. But there's not always a motive, and sometimes a motive's hidden if you're not looking through the right perspective of who done it. Anyway, if you made it this far through the video, you are awesome. And comment flashlight or flashlight, which and I appreciate you guys. And I'll see you on the flip side. Nailed that outro too.